you should be able to find, hopefully you can all get into Blackboard. You will be receiving this because of an email you get in Blackboard. You will have the link. It is also on Blackboard. So when you go into Blackboard, the first thing you're going to see is course-specific content, and you will also see something called weekly folders. The course-specific content, my old-timey introduction is in there. And then you also see the Business 103 syllabus, which I will talk about in a minute, the Principles of Management textbook, which is actually this textbook, which you can get this on eBay or buy it in OpenStax. We have a few in the library over at West Campus. And this is what you will see in the PDF form here, Principles of Management textbook. So looking at the course-specific content, I will come back to the syllabus in a minute. The second thing you will see is something called weekly folders. And in the weekly folders right now, all that is revealed is week 1. And I will reveal week 2 tomorrow or Wednesday, which will have all of the information, things that you need for week 2. So week 1, which is what we are currently working on, and your homework is due by Wednesday night at midnight, 11:59 p.m. The other thing is that the homework questions are actually out of the textbook. So for instance, if you look in week 1 and you click on the little caret on the side, there's a little like triangle thing. There you will see there is a video link there. 7 tips for new supervisors and managers. Video link, and then there are 2 sets of PowerPoint slides, which have some links embedded in them as well. That are quite fruitful and very descriptive of the chapters. There is also a discussion post for the week 1, and that discussion post talks a little bit, you're to talk a little bit about your, an intro. Who are you? Why are you here? Like, what's your background? Maybe any of these items, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, why you're interested in business. If you have prior higher ed, if you don't, some of you own a business, maybe you are thinking about starting a business, buying a business, any of those things. So just talk. You can talk about your family, talk about if you're an Erie native, just so we can all get to know each other. And you aren't required, but you can obviously get to know your classmates, right? And chime in on somebody else's intro if you would like, but make sure that you're being respectful and using inclusive language, right? We are trying to keep a welcoming environment. We're all here to learn, right? And think, right? Critical thought, so important. And so we are in an 8-week journey together. And we are partway through week 1. It is a very fast pace, the 8-week journey. Those of you that haven't had an 8-week course before. And so make sure that when you click on the discussion, it should take you right to the discussion board. And once you're in the discussion board, then you reply to that. And I see that we already have several responses in there. Kimberly Delasia, I'm not sure if I'm not pronouncing your name right. I so apologize. Strickland, David, Ebony, Catherine, Misty, Alexis, Eliza, Amare. Lots of people are already posted. Wonderful. Jared, Leslie, Lindsay, Christopher, Ashley. Did I skip Ashley? 2 Ashleys in there. Marissa, Nora, Ryan, and Stephen, Tess. See, you're in there. So all of those posts, I got a few people I'm still waiting on, but great job this week. So you can go through and kind of get to know your classmates. A lot of you, if you figured out, you can put a little picture in there by your screen. You see my picture. That's from when I was teaching again, and that's probably 10 years old now. I always have my hair pulled back, right? Usually a scarf of some sort on. And in that picture, I have a blazer. Usually I have a jacket on. Those of you that have me in in-person classes. Anyway, it's casual. It's summer, right? And so I was actually on campus today. I'm on campus. If you ever have questions or you want to meet or whatever, I'm on campus usually multiple times a week popping in there. So just let me know if that's something you're interested in. You want to know more about the college. You have scheduling things that you want to talk about for fall. Okay, so then the homework assignment, which I put in that original week 1 area, is from chapter 1. You're going to do questions 1 and 4 through 7. And 10, and that is on page 18 and 19, right? And so that is in the text. I will show you what that looks like here in a second. The other thing, once you explore the textbook a little, and some of you might want the physical textbook, 18 and 19. The lighting in this is in my dining room because my office is being, someone is sitting in my home office right now. I have a sick kid in there and stuck him in there, right? So I'm actually in the dining room. And the lighting is not like my office. So the other videos, normally you will see videos from me in my office, home office. All right, so chapter 1 is fairly short, right? And so when you go through chapter 1, the chapters are all very similar. And we even see, like some of these diagrams that you will see are also in the PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint does a really great job of summarizing the chapter. And so the way the chapters are laid out, you know, you go then to the next page in the chapters and you will see summary of the learning outcomes. So it shows you the 3 points. There are 3 parts to chapter 1. So I will just go over those now. What do managers do? The roles managers play, and major characteristics of a manager's job. So we're just looking at, you know, it's really the philosophy of management. What are some of the things that we can draw on as good managers and good leaders in general? Managers, not just, you know, like that first line manager. Management in general is all the way up to the CEO, right? Or if you are running your own company, you are the one that is managing everyone, right? So that when we use manager, we use it in that sense, right? Leadership. And so then you see the chapter review question. So this is going to be similar, and I'm setting you up for this in chapter 1 throughout all the chapters. You'll have the chapter material, you'll have a coordinating PowerPoint. I usually put in multiple short videos that hit the highlights from the chapter. So if you are not like a big reader and you struggle, right, to get through and retain, you also have the short videos that sometimes they supplement the chapter then and some key points. And so I try to make sure that it's, you know, education and higher ed in particular is supposed to be fun at some level, right? It's not just digesting all the time, right? It's supposed to be also application of the things that you're learning, or at least get you thinking, right? Much like artwork, gets you thinking about whether you like it or you don't, whether you agree, whether you don't agree, forming your opinions, right? Getting you to think about your own life, the managers you encounter, how you manage, right? Those types of things, and be critical of that. In particular, while you're in this class, be critical of, if you're in a situation that someone's managing you, be critical of their styles. When I teach this in person, you know, students all come in and talk about their jobs, really, and they talk about, or past jobs where they either had a really great manager and they knew it, or they had a crappy manager, right, that could have gotten so much more out of their employees and really did not allow their employees to shine at all, the people that work with them, right? Or leadership just did not allow for those types of things. Anyway, so chapter 1 is kind of a review of some of the things that managers do, and there are questions there for you. Question 1, for instance, what are the characteristics and traits that you possess that are common to all successful managers? So it's for you to think about, right? You're all going to have slightly different answers. So that's question 1. So again, a couple sentences. Just to get you thinking, right? You can refer back to the chapter, typically is what we'll see. And when you're doing these questions, you're really building, building your study guide for the final exam. And so then also for that chapters 4 through 7, right? And then number 10, which goes on to page 19. Now, if you are, there are other things that you see in the chapters. Sometimes we will do different exercises for chapters 1 and chapter 2. It is the same format. Chapter 2, then you get into managerial decision making. And so there are several items. And we start to talk about conflict, right? Let me see if I can find chapter 2. Homework. Chapter 2's homework is further along. There we are. All right. So the first thing you'll see at the end of each chapter, again, are the key terms from the chapter. In chapter 2, is a little bit longer than chapter 1, but a few of the things that we talk about in chapter 2 is this idea of this managerial decision making, right? And we start to talk about also, because this is an academic course, we talk about different studies and different individuals that really have done research and written about and looked at the idea of management from multiple studies. They did their own studies. They critically have added to the body of knowledge that we see in the principles of management arena. So a lot of it is theoretical, philosophical, right? And you will see different names that are dropped, individuals that brought a lot to the area, right? So, hundreds of years ago, we didn't really have any philosophy on management. People just did what they wanted, right? This is how I'm going to lead. But there are actual things you can do, right? Just like anything else, there are steps you can take to be better at management, right? There are things that you can do to, empower your employees, to manage your workspace better. All of the different things are things that work and things that don't, right? And so why do things that don't work? If you're not sure what works and what doesn't, there has been research to find out, okay, if you have this opportunity presents itself, always choose door B, right? Because door A is no good. We've proven that in research, right? It doesn't motivate employees. It creates problems amongst employees. So why do that, right? And it's so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go through trial and error as a manager. There's a lot of good theory out there that informs how we behave as managers. Anyway, so chapter 2 starts to talk a little bit more specifically about how managers make decisions and how, when you make those decisions, like what are some of the barriers? That's 2.4. Certain decisions, like we already kind of know, we've done a bunch of times. We've something at work maybe, or dealing with individuals that we work with. We know the outcomes, so we can just do those easily. Other things we present, maybe we don't have a protocol for yet, right? Or we haven't been presented with any type of protocol, and so we're kind of in a trial and error, right? So we have decisions that we can make easily, and then we have other decisions that require us really to dig in and try to come up with a good solution, right? And that is very common today, coming up with solutions to things that nobody has come up with a solution for yet, right? So we can't just fit some mold to it. We got to try to use, our other experiences to inform then how we can make good decisions in areas where they're new to the company, new to you as a manager, new to leadership, new things that are coming down the pipe, right, that we have to incorporate into our management styles. So chapter 2 also gets into group decision making and improving the quality of your decision making, right? We all want to be better versions of ourselves. I was just talking to another professor about how it's so important that we continually kind of reframe, right? And become just slightly better versions of ourselves every day. Because that's all we can really ask, whether you're 7 years old or you're 70 years old. Each day is an opportunity to make better decisions, right? Learn from past mistakes, become a better version of ourselves. Instead of, just kind of going along, why don't we just get a little bit better each day, right? And so I tell this to myself and my own family as much as I do to my students, right? And to my colleagues. We talk about this better version of ourselves, not like, oh, I need to have this big lofty goal, just small little better versions. And some days, maybe you don't. And then the next day is a new day. Every day isn't going to be like, oh, I got way better today, right? No. But a little bit here and there, tips that you take in, like tips and tricks that you find even from other people that you're like, wow, that really worked well. It motivated everybody to do really well, in an event that we had the other night. Everybody was really happy and rose to a new level. So you can be observational in your current workplace, in your current social settings, whatever it might be, right? And take the things that work because you see them work and leave the things that don't work, right? And so in chapter 2, then, the homework questions 2 through 4, and they are on page 51, 2, 3, and 4, 7, and 8. So 5 questions, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. 5 questions is all. Again, 2 to 3 sentences. Question number 2, what are the 2 systems that the brain uses in decision making, and how are they related to programmed and non-programmed decisions? Programmed and non-programmed decisions, that's 2.3. So there's a whole section. You can go right there and think about those types of things and answer number 2. All right. And so that is the homework for the week. And so the homework submission then, and the first week is always a little bit tricky, but, I'm looking for it to be up and running. Make sure that you try to post it by Wednesday night. If for some reason it's a day late, or if it's going to be later than that, please reach out to me. But this first one, I'm a little bit more lenient on. If you scroll down in week 1, you will see HW for chapters 1 and 2 submission. So you click on that, And when you click on that, you are then able to upload your Word doc right into there. If you have any trouble, though, doing this, uploading your Word doc, because that's all you're going to do, right? So for like chapter 1, you're just going to write chapter 1 and write the number down and write the response. You don't have to rewrite the question. And same with chapter 2. You can put it on one document. You go through and you answer the 5 questions and just put the number 2, and then write the response, right? And do that in a Word doc. You could do it in a PDF, I guess, too. PDF, Word doc, and then you're going to upload that to this homework slot. And so each week it will be like a similar format where you will have a homework slot and you upload then your homework into your Word doc PDF form into that homework slot. So you have the homework, you have the discussion post, you have PowerPoint for 1 and 2, and there are a few embedded videos in there, and there's also video 7 tips for new supervisors and managers. So then looping back to the syllabus, make sure you review the syllabus under course specific content. You will see all of that information up there. I hope I did this while I was out of town. We had a family emergency, so I thank you all for being patient. I was without my computer and in the hospital in Pittsburgh for up until Thursday night, and so that was a little tricky, but everything is good. Everyone's going to recover, and but I was able to get my Principles of Management syllabus up. So I apologize for that being a little bit late. But the course description is there, the topical outline, the text, right, which is this. The discussion posts, there's going to be 6 discussion posts total. They're 4 percentage points each. So the way that I build the class is that as you go through, when you do a discussion, if you get full credit, you get 4 out of 4. That's 4 percentage points out of the 100 that's for the quarter. So if you do all discussions, all 4, that's 16. Or all 6 discussions, that's 24% of your grade. So if you do all of those and you meet the minimum requirements, you have 24 out of 24 for your 100. The same with the homework. You turn in all your homework. Each one is 6%, right? So you're at 42%. So if you turn in your homework and you do your discussion posts, you're already at a 66%. That's a D, right? You're already at a D if you just turn those things in. You meet the minimum requirements. So you pass. If you do we do this idea of a presentation, it's actually, you will do a 7 to 10 slideshow, PowerPoint slideshow. That's a project for us. The term project is you will pick a chapter and you will discuss it. And you will lead it in, and because it's virtual, you will do a PowerPoint. You will post that for others to see. You will do a PowerPoint from a chapter, how you would do it. So you'll build your own PowerPoint for a chapter from the text. But we'll talk about that in upcoming weeks. That's 10%. So now you're already at 76% if you do and meet the minimum requirements for the presentation. And so you're already at a 76%, and you haven't even taken the final yet. So that's how the